This is in response to Kevin, but I thought this is a good one for a lot of people as I'm sort of repacking and unpacking and getting the bike ready for another trip. So whoa, there goes the spice kit. Solo, going alone. And I would imagine a lot of you people that are, you guys and gals that are on here already do solo bicycle touring. So if you do, this still might be interesting. But if you never have and you're a little apprehensive, especially in this day and age, I have some great videos that I'm going to put on this channel that I have on Tectonic Traveler, my other with 2 L's, Traveler, on my other channel that's really helpful about traveling alone. And first thing I say is, don't overthink it and don't be afraid and start planning. And I'll just go through my first story. I'm not going to go through packing and what I took with me or anything like that. That's for a different video. But what happened to me is I spent about 10 years touring with other people. Other than Alaska, a couple times just for a couple days alone out touring between Anchorage and Denali National Park. But my first real trip alone was the Sierra Cascades from Washington down to the Eastern Sierra, California. But before that, I really enjoyed being with other people, and I would go with, at the time anyway, a good friend of mine, and he was a little older than me, but he picked it up a little bit later in life, and then I tagged along with him on a couple trips of his first trips, the coast of California, Oregon, California, and then after that he took off, and actually we did another trip together after that. But then one season came along, and it was just timing, when you're, like I said in another video just recently, I think the last one, if they timed out right, is sometimes you just can't wait for others. Sometimes you just got to go. And there was a springtime where I wasn't going back up to Alaska and decided to do a bike tour. And I thought, well, okay, I'll go solo, but I'll go down the coast again. And I was fighting with that idea because, the coast, I had already done it, and it's hard. It's very difficult, but, there's bike shops the whole way down, and, that you can get a coffee or a latte, whatever, any of that kind of garbage anytime you want. And I was up for a little more of a challenge, so I started pondering the Sierra Cascades. And the Adventure Cycling Association puts together the route, but I kind of did a variation of my own, and it proved to be pretty great. But the apprehension, getting back to your first trip, I fought with it all the way up until, I actually got all the way up to Oregon from California, and I was packed, staying in a hotel. And at that point, here I am in Portland, and the decision was to either go to North Bonneville, Washington, right on the border in the Columbia River Gorge, and do the the Cascade Sierra, and then, eliminating northern Washington and all that, which I've done before. But it was a toss-up, or the coast. Now, that Sierra Cascade route, after studying it, I realized that it was less facilities, more stealth camping, which is fine. Campgrounds were more expensive, and if you wanted to stay in a hotel or a motel, there was kind of few and far between. Grocery stores, few and far between. So it was mainly like little small markets, gas stations, and things like that. So that was the choices. Lots of steep mountain passes. So it was different. I know the coast had hills. I remember those. But this was going to be a whole different deal for me. So there I am in Portland, deciding, and so it actually took me about 4 or 5 days, believe it or not. And I worked on the bike. I visited a few people, and then I just went out to North Bonneville and started the trip. And that was kind of that was it. I was committed. I was like over the fence and like a snake in a pipe. I couldn't turn around, and I was heading up over the first crux, which was from Hood River up over Mount Hood, and I think it was Highway 30, 32, or 35. I can't remember now. And then down into Bend, across the Deschutes, Warm Springs Canyon, I don't recommend, and all that. So, and all the way down to Tahoe, and then on down the Eastern Sierra. Eventually got all that section of it done, which I did again this year, Eastern Sierra section. So yeah, going it alone now. I did that trip, and I was like, okay, I'm not doing it with people ever again. It was the best experience. Solo, it was great. And since then, I've been with other people. In South America, I bicycled in the Andes alone, but I'd see people every day, and it was pretty neat. And that's the thing about cycling as opposed to climbing, which I used to do more of. You don't run into people every day in the big mountains when you're on an expedition or a climbing trip. But on the bike, you can be alone all day out there on the bicycle doing your thing, and then at night you'll run into people camping or hotel, dinner, whatever, or out on the road, but you're not committed to hanging out with anyone the whole time. I love that balance. And since I quit climbing, doing more of this, I got more addicted to this kind of lifestyle. So that's where I'll leave it there with the solo part of it. You'll find that you have more flexibility, and you're able to kind of just go your own direction if you feel like it, or hang out with somebody. And yeah, it's a great trip either way. Enjoy the journey.